You're a panelist at our TPM conference this year on a session that looked at the potential for AI, and you were speaking about something very timely this week, tariffs. Talk to me a little bit about what that panel discussed regarding human capacity and how AI can really help with this current tariff situation.
Yeah, obviously there's no shortage of AI in the world today. It's at every conference, every trade booth has it if you're a technology provider. And I think when you look at this industry, the industry of global logistics, I think the hype is justified. And the reason that I am so excited about it is because AI may finally solve a problem that has vexed this industry since the very, very beginning. Logistics is a game of working with different companies, and everybody has different data, different types of formats, different nomenclature, different codes, et cetera. And the industry has really struggled to kind of pull all that together. We've tried the cloud, we've tried EDI, XML, APIs, you name it. But there has never been a single version of truth from an information point of view. And so AI, because of its ability to use and look at language and interpret language and images into data, might become that translator that this industry so desperately needs. So the industry solution to this problem is having armies of people keying data between an email inbox and like a TMS system, right? Which is slow and latent and messy. So this puts the industry on its heels. Logistics is a job of firefighting. And I think AI has the potential to put that fire out once and for all, right? And I love Microsoft, don't get me wrong, but that should not be the standard technology for an industry like this, right? We can do better.
We did a webcast last month with one of your customers, and one of the topics of conversation really was this human capital element and aspect of AI. Can you speak a little bit about where you see the potential there?
One of the early value dimensions of AI in general across all sectors is that what I call human capital, right? It's this idea that you can take these really redundant tasks that nobody really wants to do. I mean, I think people worry that it's going to take their jobs. It's just going to make their jobs better, right? And so now we're beginning to see some tangible examples come out. So, for someone to make a statement like we've grown 2.5x with the same people, that's a pretty strong testament to the potential of AI.
Some people will get cut, like you won't keep every job, because you can do more with fewer people. So that's sort of business strategy. What do you say when people put that argument to it?
Well, I still believe that this is an industry that's on its heels and it's got to get on its toes, right? So you've got a bunch of people that are working for you. I don't see the idea being to slash them so you're still on your heels with AI, right? I mean, you should use the AI to move from a defensive posture to an offensive posture. And I think that as companies realize that, certainly, we've actually had customers say that the work that the AI is doing are tasks that their people don't like. Nobody wants to do it, right? So is that really a dream career job to work in a data center somewhere and just type all day? I don't think so, right? But people want to solve problems, and there's plenty of problems in logistics to be solved. But they're not even getting into it because they're so consumed with all this administrative work.
Let's take this conversation and go down to the practical. How do you see AI helping with the current tariff situation day to day? Yeah,
so obviously we're at TPM in March of 2025, and the U.S. administration is they just dropped a bunch of tariffs on Canada and Mexico and China yesterday, right? And this whole conference is spinning about this. The sessions that are tariff-centric are standing room only, right? And I think this is a great opportunity. This might be the black swan event for AI because what I was just talking about, the human capacity dimension. Well, here, when you create a customs entry, there are multiple documents required to do that. It's bills of lading, packing lists, commercial invoices, codes, insurance information, certificates of origin, et cetera, et cetera. It varies by commodity. It's very complicated. And, it can take anywhere from 15 minutes to 2 days to get those things completed by scanning and searching for information in PDFs, right, that have been emailed to you. So, we've got a lot of customers that use Raft to solve this very problem. And on average, across all of them, we think it's roughly, they take about 30 minutes on average to do an entry the old way. And with AI, it goes down to 2 minutes, okay? So right there, you've just created 28 minutes of time per entry. Okay, so if I'm a broker or a customs operate in this environment where the tariffs are changing it seems like every 6 hours, right? With no notice. And there's an immense amount of work to keep up with that. And unfortunately, I don't think there's a magic AI tool that's going to make you keep up with that. You've got to put people on it, right? So there's 28 minutes per entry of time that you just freed up to deal with the situation, which is overwhelming the customs community. And of course, they've got a situation where there isn't a line of unemployed customs brokers looking for work. It's a really strained job these days, right? So I think AI, with this ability to scale capacity, is arriving at just the right time, because I suspect that this tariff situation is going to be fluid for the foreseeable future.
Where do you see things headed?
Well, as I said before, I believe AI is a major technology inflection point moment. Okay, it's right up there with the personal computer, the internet, smartphones. Okay, it's like one of those. It's not blockchain. Nobody could understand what blockchain was. So it's going to take time for it to mature. You know, I think we're at that. There's a great book, Crossing the Chasm, that talks about how technology evolves. And we're still in early adopter phase, but we're beginning to move into what I'll call the mainstream phase. And one of the signals of that is when companies start talking about their successes, like we had on that webinar. That's one of the signals where the mainstream says, wow, this guy's doing a webinar about how they're succeeding with AI. Maybe it isn't all hype. Maybe it's real. And I think that's what's beginning to happen. But it's going to take a couple years. Cloud took about 10 years to go from SaaS and on-demand to then somebody coined cloud sometime in 2008-ish. And by 2012, it was rare that you use technology without an internet browser. And I think AI is on a similar trajectory. It might go a little faster because, of course, you don't need engineers to code it. It codes itself, right, which is pretty amazing if you think about it.
What makes AI better than other tech solutions that we have thought might solve all the problems?
Well, I think ultimately, if I had to go to the very, very top of that concept, I feel like there's a degree of simplicity. If you just think about writing a blog, right, where you say, write me a blog about the history of ocean freight, make it 700 words, quote these 3 people, and hit submit, and out comes a blog, right? I mean, that didn't require any sort of learning of technology. I didn't need a login. I didn't have to learn how to drop down menus and do things. So you take that notion of simplicity, right, where it's just language. You're just talking to something, and it's talking back. It sounds like Star Wars, but we're actually closer than you think. And I think if AI can actually make its way in, and it will, into a complex world such as logistics, I think the gloves come off, because the industry is going to go fully digital. And then what happens? I mean, I think nobody knows how much money is wasted, right? Because it's so manual, nobody knows. And when we see full digitization, suddenly you're not expediting, you're not losing stuff, you're not chasing stuff down. It could be hundreds of millions of dollars.
Greg, thanks so much for taking time to sit down with me today. It's great to get your thoughts.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun.